Hello, my name is Dr. Gordon. You're about to see a story I wrote called Jumpin Johnny, Get Back to Work. It's about a boy who has trouble paying attention and keeping still even when he really tries. Along with his family and teachers, he finds out that he has a problem called Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, or ADHD for short. You'll see how everyone learns about ADHD and works together to help Johnny do better. If you're watching this video, the chances are pretty good that your parents and teachers think that you too have ADHD. I hope that watching Jumpin Johnny's story will help you learn about this problem and think about different ways you can help yourself. You see, that's why I wrote this story to begin with. Too often grown-ups make all kinds of decisions and plans for children without ever making sure that the kids understand what's going on. If things are going to get better for you, it's real important that you be part of the helping team and that you know why your parents and teachers and maybe also your doctor are doing what they're doing for you. One more thing, you might not have all the problems that Jumpin Johnny has, or you might have even more. Some of the things he gets upset about might not worry you at all. You might have things on your mind that Johnny doesn't even mention. But even though you and Johnny may be very different, you might be alike just enough so you can learn from what happens with him. If after watching this video you still have a lot of questions about ADHD, or if things you see don't make much sense to you, make sure you ask your parents to help you get some good answers to your questions. Well, that's enough from me. I really hope you enjoy Jumpin Johnny, Get Back to Work.
I just got yelled at again. It wasn't the first time today. It wasn't even the 5th. Maybe the 10th. It probably won't be the last time either. This has not been a very good day. I forgot my lunch bag even though my mom had just reminded me to put it in my backpack. Now I'll have to beg Jeremy for half of his jelly sandwich. Last time that cost me 3 baseball cards. I tried to get these stupid math sheets done when Mrs. Arrow said. I rushed through them as fast as I could because I wanted to be the first one to play on the computer. But I hurried so much that I got the pluses and minuses all mixed up. I had to do the whole dumb thing over again. Then Mrs. Arrow said that the paper was too messy and, you got it, back to my desk to do it over. I never did make it to the computer. The thing is that I really want to do well, but everyone thinks I'm just plain lazy, or maybe dumb and lazy. I admit it, I do squirm around in my seat a lot and drum my pencil on the desk. Mrs. Arrow doesn't like it when I wriggle. She's always saying, "Stop jumping, Johnny, and get back to work." That's why the kids call me Jumpin Johnny. Just yesterday, Melissa said, "Jumpin Johnny, get back to work." Everybody giggled, but me. I'll just be sitting there and without thinking, I start unwinding the thread on my sleeve or tapping my foot against a chair. I guess I like to be moving because it keeps me more awake and interested. But I really don't try to upset anyone. That's the part that I don't think the grown-ups understand. Even when I really try hard, I can't pay attention and finish my work as well as the other kids. It's sort of like half of my brain tells me to pay attention, while the other half tries to get me to check what's happening in the hallway or out the window. And looking out the window at the birds is a heck of a lot more interesting than most of this schoolwork. You know, if I have to do one more pile of these dittos, I think I'm going to scream until I can scream no more. I sure don't like people being upset with me. Not long ago, I heard my mother crying. The teacher had called to tell her about my bad grades. Of course, she also mentioned about how I hadn't watched where I was going in the cafeteria and knocked 2 food trays over. It didn't help much that it had been spaghetti day. It bothers me a lot when my parents get so unhappy with me. I wish I knew how to tell them how I feel, or that I'm sorry, Whenever I try, I don't know what to say, and I feel yucky all over. Something awful happened last week. My dad found the antenna broken on his new radio and asked me if I was the one who did it. Dad always asks me first when something gets messed up because I'm usually the one who's not as careful as I should be. Without even thinking, I told him that I had nothing to do with the radio. But I knew that wasn't true. I just didn't want to get into trouble again. I'm tired of getting into trouble. Boy, that ended up being a big mistake. I wish I had thought a little more about what would happen when my dad found out the truth. Who told him? My sister, Little Miss Wonderful. If there were a deep hole you could bury cute little sisters in without getting into trouble, I would have done it long ago. I was embarrassed the other day because I was taken out of the class by this man the teacher told me was a school psychologist. I didn't want to go because I was afraid that the other kids would make fun of me. All I needed was for them to tease me even more than they already did. They always tell me I'm crazy and stupid. And what would happen if the psychologist found out that I really was crazy and stupid? It turned out that the psychologist was a pretty nice guy, and the tests weren't too hard. You had to copy these designs, and there were some puzzles and math problems, stuff like that. Then my mom, dad, and I went to a special doctor who is good at working with children who have trouble paying attention. At first I was worried about getting shots or having to take my clothes off and get tickled. But this was a different kind of doctor. He was more of a talking doctor. Boy, did he ask questions about school and friends and family and worries and why getting my work done was so hard. He also had me take these tests where I had to pay attention for what seemed like forever. Actually, it was pretty cool because it was all done on the special computer. When the questions and tests were all finished, the doctor explained to me and my parents that I have a problem called Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, or ADHD for short. It's what they call what happens when you can't pay attention, even when you really try. The doctor said that lots of kids have this problem, and it has nothing to do with being dumb or crazy. In fact, he told me that I was one smart cookie. I wish he would make a big sign saying, Jumpin Johnny is one smart cookie, and hang it in my classroom for everyone to see. My dad told me that I wasn't the first one in our family with ADHD. He said that Uncle Willie had a terrible time in school because he never sat still. Grandpa said that he was like a bug in a frying pan. Dad said all the kids would call him Wigglin' Willie. Maybe that's why Uncle Willie and I get along so well. Things have started to change. The grown-ups don't get as angry at me so quickly. My dad said that it wasn't fair to yell at me if some of what I did wrong wasn't because I was trying to be bad. He said it would be like yelling at a deaf person because they couldn't hear. But don't worry that my parents forgot how to get annoyed with me. I still get into plenty of trouble that even I can't blame on my ADHD. My dad said that having ADHD isn't an excuse for misbehaving. But knowing I have ADHD makes them understand how hard it is sometimes for me to behave the way I should. It was hard to understand how I could be smart and handicapped at the same time, and I didn't like everybody talking about me like I had some kind of disease. But my parents explained that many kids have trouble paying attention. They said that I have a great brain, but the part that helps me pay attention doesn't work so well unless things are so interesting that they almost reach out and grab my attention, like Nintendo. The best change is that I don't feel like I am some sort of criminal anymore. My teacher and I have started to find ways I can learn and get my work done without having so much trouble. She's moved my desk to the front of the room where it's easier for her to help me keep working. She also comes over and checks to make sure that I understand the directions. We came up with this special program we decided to call Magic Marbles. Every morning, Mrs. Arrow puts 8 marbles in a cup that she puts on my desk. She also taped a piece of paper to the cup with these 3 rules written on it. Number 1, no disturbing the class by talking out of turn or getting out of the seat at the wrong time. Number 2, no work left unfinished because of daydreaming. And number 3, no sloppy work. I get to keep all the marbles as long as I don't break any of the rules. She takes a marble away if I do break one of the rules. The best part is that each marble is worth 3 minutes on the computer. I try harder at school because I seriously want to play on that computer. Magic marbles makes it more interesting and fun to pay attention. I have to tell you that at first I was embarrassed about being the only one in the class who did the marble program. But then I figured out that it was less embarrassing than being yelled at. I must be doing pretty well with it because all of a sudden, Robert and Susan have marble cups on their desk too. They also have trouble finishing their work. Mrs. Arrow and I also worked out this secret signal. If I start to look away from my work, she comes by and taps my right shoulder. That quietly reminds me to get back to work. The best thing Mrs. Arrow has done is to change how much work I have to do. Because it's so hard for me, she's cut back a little on the number of pages I have to finish. But I still have to do them just right. Some of the other kids complained that I didn't have to do as much as they did. Mrs. Arrow really came through on this one. She said that some kids need special arrangements because they learn differently than other children. Like if a child was blind in one eye or was hard of hearing, you would need to make up a special program. And then she told them how I had to work just as hard to get 3 dittos done as they did to get 6 finished. We were all working just as hard, but because of my problem, I needed a smaller assignment. Not having a mountain of homework assigned made an awesome difference. I used to hate when 4 o'clock came because that's when the homework wars began. I can tell you that the last thing I wanted to do after a horrible day at school was to work on homework all night. Now I know that my work should take me no more than 30 minutes to finish. I can handle that. Of course, if I fool around, it might take me longer, but no more all-night misery. It's nice to have some of the pressure off. Mrs. Arrow also started sending a little sheet home every day to let my parents know what kind of day I had and what needed to be done for homework. I really didn't like that at first because I was afraid I'd be punished at home if I had a bad day. But it turned out okay. It's just a way for my parents to know how I'm doing so they don't get all worried. It's also good that my parents know what assignments are due so they can help me remember to do them. Another great thing that happens is that Mrs. Arrow comes over at the end of the day to make sure I have all the books I'll need for my homework. I know I should do that on my own, but my mind skips around and I forget to think about each of the subjects. Now I have all the books I need to do my homework. At home, Mom and Dad had these new ideas about doing things so they wouldn't always have to remind me and yell. It was kind of like a business deal. We decided that I could earn 1 hour of TV time every day. They used to only let me watch a half hour, so now I have a chance to see twice as much. I tried to get them to make it an hour and a half, but they didn't go for it. Then we decided on these 3 rules for my behavior at home. Number 1, no forgetting to listen the first time I am asked to do something. Number 2, no hitting, kicking, or shoving, or other aggressive behavior. And number 3, no lying. They have 6 chips, and each is worth 10 minutes of TV. As long as I don't break any of the rules, I get to keep all the chips and watch a whole hour of TV. But if I mess up and break one of the rules, then I lose a chip. We also agreed that if I start arguing about losing a chip, that costs me another chip. I've learned that I have good days and bad days. Sometimes I get so tired of trying to be good that I slip a bit. This used to bother my mom and dad because they'd worry that I was going to have a lot of trouble again. I think they're starting to calm down. Oops, I almost forgot to tell you about the medicine. At first I thought it was kind of weird to take a pill to help me pay attention, and I was a little nervous about how it would make me feel. But if you think I was nervous about it, you should have seen my parents. They talked to all kinds of doctors and read this big pile of books. But we decided it was worth trying so that we could see if it helped me. The doctor told me all about the medicine and let me ask some questions. I didn't really know what to ask, except I wanted to know if I would be taking drugs you're not supposed to use. Like they show in the commercials when they tell you, Just say no. The doctor said that this medicine wasn't like the bad drugs and was safe to take because he and my parents would be real careful and that we'd work together like a team. He also said I needed to let them know if I had any problems with it, like if I felt funny or got headaches or stomach aches, and definitely if it made me feel completely weird. He also wanted to know if I thought that it helped me. To tell you the truth, I don't feel all that different on the medicine, except that I'm not as hungry for lunch. The only thing I see that has changed about me is that my handwriting is better, and it's a little easier for me to pay attention to my work at school. And I don't get into quite so much trouble for doing things without thinking first. I hear myself saying to myself, "Are you really sure you should do that?" I didn't used to think much first before I'd do something. At first, I tried to use the medicine for excuses when I'd get into trouble. I'd say something like, "I forgot my hat and gloves in school because you didn't give me enough of my medicine." Boy, that didn't get me far. My mom said that I'm responsible for what I do whether I'm taking the medicine or not, but you can't blame a kid for trying. So that's the story so far. I can feel that everybody's trying hard and I'm doing my best. Of course, my little sister's still perfect. My mom didn't like my suggestion that we sell her to another family and use the money to buy a computer game. Other than Little Miss Wonderful, I think life's okay. I have to tell you, though, that a lot of times I just can't wait until I'm grown up so nobody will tell me. Jumpin' Johnny, get back to work.